Welcome to the Profile Series. I'm Linda Sandu, and I'm here with my friend, Erica Waasdorp. Erica, welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
Erica is now officially an author, Monthly Giving, The Sleeping Giant. That's so exciting.
It is very exciting. I still can't believe it quite happened.
I know. I carried this book around with me for about 2 weeks, and I kept looking at it and going, this is my friend Erica. It's awesome. Erica, you are also owner, president of A Direct Solution. Let's start by letting the viewers know who you are, where you came from, and how you got involved with direct marketing, and then we'll lead into the book. So we want to talk a lot about the book, but I want people to have a little history of who you are. So.
Okay, Linda. Well, I started direct marketing about 30 years ago. I actually worked at Reader's Digest in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. I'm from the Netherlands originally, moved to the Cape almost 20 years ago now, moved right to the Cape from Rotterdam, and you know, I've never left. I go back a couple of times a year to meet my family, see my family, but other than that, this is my home. I love it here.
Oh, that's great.
And when I moved here, I started working for International Fund for Animal Welfare, originally in Yarmouth Port. Now they're in Hyannis. Mm-hmm. And there, I really got involved with monthly giving and direct mail and international fundraising. So, and you know, I've never left fundraising since then. I was there for 7 years, and then I started working for a direct marketing agency helping nonprofits. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot there, and they're based in Plymouth, called DMW Direct. And they're a great company to work for. And what I found after a while was I really came across a lot of organizations that were smaller that needed the direct mail help, grant writing, events, public relations. And I said, that's something I would like to do, and you know, gives me a lot of great fulfillment. So I started my own business in 2003. Wow. Called A Direct Solution. Mm-hmm. My husband actually came up with that name because I'm pretty direct, being Dutch. So he says, so it was just a great,
it worked out perfect.
a great name to come up with. So,
good.
And you know, since then I've started getting involved with a lot of organizations on the Cape. Mm-hmm. And also off Cape, and you know,
and
helping
internationally.
Them, and internationally. So I help with a lot of different, in a lot of different ways. Uh-huh. Could be like doing one direct mail campaign a year, to helping them with their grants, or doing public relations, or events. I've been fortunate to have worked with the American Red Cross,
That's right.
Cape Cod and Islands chapter, for several years, and was involved in their Big Heroes Breakfast, which is going to happen again in April. So I'm involved with that again.
Yeah, good.
So it's really a wonderful event.
Good. All right, well, let's jump into this book. A monthly guide, Monthly Giving, The Sleeping Giant. Yeah. Tell me how you came up with the title, first off, and I'm sure this book has been brewing in your head for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I worked at International Fund for Animal Welfare, I was involved with monthly giving. I was in charge of their monthly giving program, which basically means people give a small donation every month through their bank account or credit card account. Mm-hmm. So it could be $5, $10 a month, and it's a great way to help organizations on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they don't have to write the $100 check, they can just do something in a smaller way. Mm-hmm. But it makes a big impact, and it really helps the organizations because it makes sure that there's money coming in, but it also helps the donor by, you know, not having the right checks on a regular basis.
It's a great budgeting
and they
tool.
know,
right.
yeah, absolutely, and they know that the money is going to be there to help support the organizations they love and care about. So when I started working at IFA and got involved with this, I did go to conferences, I did start speaking about the subject monthly giving, and I've never stopped. So when I worked at DMW, when I started my own business, I've always been involved with it, and you know, I've managed several other programs for some of my clients.
Sure. So
in 2010, in July, I was at a conference in Washington, D.C., and they had a bookstore. And I was sort of like looking at it, I'm like, you know, there's no book about monthly giving. And maybe I should write that. And that's sort of like, you know, started the process, and I actually did some research as to which books are out there. There's like 3 books out there about monthly giving.
No kidding, wow.
The most well-known one is called Hidden Gold by Harvey McKinnon. He's a Canadian, and then he wrote another smaller book, and then there's one written by UK author Ken Burnett. But that's kind of it. I mean, there's white papers and other things like that, but there's not really a book. So I was like, all right, let me start that. The other thing is it coincided with my 50th birthday, so I said, well, maybe I should do that as my goal for my 50th. So, I started writing in 2011. Didn't quite finish it because work got in the way, which is a good thing.
Yes, of course.
And then this year I said, I really want to finish it. So this past summer, I really sat down every day and just wrote a couple of pages and had my goal of August 31st. I wanted to get it to the designer to get ready. Right. So, and I did.
Yeah, I know. When you were saying that you were going to write a book, and I was thinking, in your spare time, is there such a thing in your world?
Yeah. No, I mean, summers are usually a little bit slower, so I just focused on it and sat at my office when it was like really warm out, but I just got it done. So.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I want to talk just 1 second about you self-published this. That's a huge interest to our viewers. Talk just 2 minutes about the process of self-publishing. So did you know you were self-publishing when you wrote the book?
Yes, and the reason I did choose to self-publish because I guess I was sort of almost a little bit lazy. Like I didn't want to have to find a publisher first, and then you have to send them a sample chapter and the process and all that stuff. Although there are a couple of great publishers in the nonprofit world. But my designer actually had worked with a self-publisher before, so she gave me a link. It's called instantpublisher.com. It's one of them. And I went online, and there's a lot of great resources there as to what the process is, how you get an ISBN, the number that is associated with the book. And it really sort of talk you through it, and they have a great 800 number you can call, so there's always somebody else on the other line if you had questions.
Wow, that's great.
And the process itself is really easy. You upload a PDF. So if you get a book in like PDF format, you upload that, and they'll charge you for how many books you want to print, so you can choose if you want to print 100, 50, 250 or 1,000. It's all
that's wonderful.
A very easy process.
That's wonderful. I'm very proud of you. Good for you.
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing I'm very proud of you for doing is that you, in this book, you've included Cape Cod people. I mean, this shows your love of your home, but I thought that was very nice of you because you really promoted a lot of people on the Cape here in your book by using positive, good examples, which is the best way to get somebody's attention. So I congratulate you on that.
I mean, the designer who did the cover, she came up with the cover, and again, she really made the process for me very easy, and I was probably driving her crazy with a lot of the charts and graphs that are in there, which is unusual. I mean, normally a book you just have words, but I had a lot of examples in there, so that's a little bit extra work. But Sue Osland in Sandwich is, and I'd worked with her on my direct mail campaigns as well. Yeah, and Miteva is my, I've worked with her for several years, so they've been really helpful.
Well, it was very nice of you. So let's jump into the book, and I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. And the first I want to talk to you about is actually, if I can open up the page here, is your first chapter, the introduction. Really impressive. Just sort of walk people through what exactly in the pyramid is. And if you can talk just a few seconds about that, because I don't think people look at giving as a pyramid structure so much.
Right, yeah, one of the things I like to we fundraisers have this thing called like a giving pyramid, which basically sort of puts donors at different levels. So in other words, you have the bottom of the pyramid, which are people that are new to an organization, that are just like starting out with a small donation, and then the organization likes to basically upgrade donors to higher levels. That's kind of the process. So every organization has a fundraising pyramid, and it all depends on how many donors are on the top of the pyramid and how many donors are on the bottom of the pyramid. But you always have to make sure that you have new people feeding into that bottom of the pyramid, because, you know, we have
Right.
people who are passing away, and, you know, and again, if you want to grow as an organization, you need to feed that pyramid. I kind of look at fundraising a little bit like dating. Like, you know, you start out with, like, you invite somebody for a cup of coffee, and they might say, oh yeah, I'll give you your small donations, see how it goes, see if I'm receiving a thank you letter, and, you know, and then if you get another appeal a couple of months later, you say, geez, they really treated me right. I think it's a great organization. They do great stuff. They give good feedback. I'm ready for dinner, you know. So, and then that's how you know, I kind of look at it that
That's
way.
a great,
So,
that's a great analogy.
so, you know, so the giving pyramid is like, monthly givers are kind of like, they're not new donors. They're not like necessarily small donors, but they're kind of, you know, the sort of the second tier. They become regular givers. So they're not just giving once, they're giving more than once.
Right.
Preferably 12 times a year.
That's right. That's right.
So.
And I like how it's sort of explained. It doesn't have to be a lot. That people can do it on $5 and still at the end of the year it adds up to, instead of writing a big check, but also it helps. It helps.
Yeah.
And
again, one of the things too that because I'm from the Netherlands originally, in Europe, monthly giving is huge.
Yeah.
A lot of people give automatically through their bank account.
Right.
And it's just second nature. So the concept here is a lot more difficult. So because, you know, people are a little bit worried about the banks, and, you know, and they don't want to give out their bank account information, and so, you know, so the concept is a little bit more difficult. But if you see now that the utilities have all started to convert people to give automatically, because it just saves a lot of money at their end.
That's right.
You know, it's not giving them anything for the bottom line.
Right,
you know, so.
right. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. The next one was inbound telemarketing. That's a new term, which might not be new to you, but it was to me. And so I just want you to define what that is, inbound telemarketing.
Well, it's kind of like we all, you know, call somebody, you know, if we want more information or whatever. Well, so we as donors, if you will, we take the initiative to call an organization saying, I would like to receive more information about X, or sometimes they say, I don't want to receive any more mail from you, or, you know, they want to say, take me off your mailing list, or anything like that. That's called inbound telemarketing from the organization's point of view.
Okay.
Okay, so the donor calls out, but the organization receives the call. You can also look at, like, if you do an infomercial, you know, like or a commercial, you call an 800 number or a special number. That person on the other end is receiving an inbound call.
Okay, so then once they receive that call, it's up to them to do the
something.
Sale, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
so to speak, whether it be a nonprofit and all that
Yep.
stuff. And that, you and I have talked about this in the past, it really gives to the power of who's answering your phones.
Absolutely, yes. You really want number one, you want people who know the organization anyhow, but if they can talk to the donor and try to say, look, I understand that you don't want to receive any more mailings because, you know, it's cumbersome, but there is another way to help.
Right.
With a small donation on a monthly basis, you can still support us and you don't have to receive any more mailings.
Right, that's right.
But if you would like to receive more mail, or if you still want to hear from us, like through a newsletter or whatever, definitely you want to do that. And believe it or not, monthly donors are really, really good donors. They really care about the organization. So actually, a lot of times they want to hear from the organization.
Yeah.
And it's just a simple way of giving.
Absolutely. And then that jumps into the next thing I want to talk to you about, and that's email, social media, and the internet, chapter 6.
Right.
How powerful is all that?
Yes. Well, again, it's very, very powerful, obviously. And, you know, like you can do it two ways, like outbound to email, if you will, like sending an email to the donors who have, you know, opted in to receive emails from the organization saying, look, we have a monthly giving program. Would you like to support that and, you know, sign up now? But it's also like you can reach out and say, you know, we have a question about your credit card, or we have you know, like just an update as to, you know, how your donation has helped.
Sure.
You know, this past year, things like that.
And
So,
that's even done via monthly newsletters.
yes.
And
yeah.
that's
Yeah. And social media, I mean, Facebook, again, you know, anything really that can link to the website, that can get you to the website, is a great tool to, you know, promote monthly giving. So,
and how do you decide, or do you have everybody get involved with that? If your A Direct Solution is representing an organization, do you say that's one of your top priorities, is get on social media?
I'm not so sure about the social media part. I would say, because again, you know, if we look at nonprofits on the Cape, a lot of them are very small, very short-staffed.
That's right.
They have maybe one person who's in the development department, and social media takes a lot of time. Emails, you know, if you do a monthly email to, say, your donors and constituents, you can list this monthly giving option, you know, maybe once or twice a year or something like that, and, you know, put it on your social media if you can, but don't go, again, it's kind of like with anything in the book, don't go crazy about it.
Right.
As long as you're doing something, whatever is the most comfortable and the most convenient for your organization, that's the way to do it. So in other words, make sure it's at least on your website that you have the monthly giving option. Just list it there, and then try to get people there.
Right.
And it could be through a mailing, it could be putting something in your thank you letter, like saying, hey, did you know that we also have a monthly giving program now?
Right.
Put in your email, or, you know, in a special mailing. You know, so it all depends on how big the organization is, what they have in place, the systems. So, but at least, you know, it's kind of like with anything with fundraising. If you don't ask, you're not going to get.
That's right. That's
so
right.
if you're asking, you might have some people that sign up to do it. So
and then to keep in touch with them, so they're not feeling forgotten.
No.
Because when I first skimmed through the book, when I first got the book and I just skimmed through it, I was sort of thinking in my head, this is like my gym membership. It comes out of my check every month. Yeah. I forget to go to the gym, but I just know that every month that gym is getting paid, and it's no different than that, right?
Right.
Except probably cheaper.
Yeah. Yes, it is cheaper. Yes. Yeah.
So the next one, Chapter 7, we couldn't let this one go by, using television to acquire monthly donors. And you and I talked a little bit about this, that I said for book number 2, which I'm going to insist you write, public access television. And I am always amazed, being in public access, that not every nonprofit is at our doorstep every single day. Because where else can you get free publicity, have an infomercial on a television station that in our area reaches 64,000 homes? That's a lot of people who are going to be watching you.
Yes.
And but also that, like, we in public access, we do telethons for nonprofits all the time, and that's on TV, and a lot of promotion around that. And so talk about, I know you said this is more for commercial kind of major TV.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I want you to talk about using television to acquire monthly donors.
Well, again, I think television is a great way to show and tell your story.
Right.
So, and again, you do have to, you know, use the emotional appeal, and, you know, obviously the practical appeal. We know that your money is going to a good cause and it's actually helping.
Yes.
So any cause where you can do that would be great to offer monthly giving through, you know, through public access. I guess it's sort of like where I was coming from, the organizations that are using direct response television are more like the big national organizations that, you know, that have utilized it.
Sure.
So, but absolutely, I think we should definitely try to, you know, see if there's an organization who wants to do that, because again, anything that you can do to get somebody to call in or to go to their website to, you know, start a monthly giving program, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
we should try that.
We should try that. And how important for marketing, but also then back to the Sleeping Giant, the book, is name recognition. I mean, do you want people to really know the organization and feel a part of it, or is it just not just about the money, but to get people involved.
Well, usually
talk about the
yeah.
dynamics.
Well, usually, you know, people who are trust an I mean, they have to have some trust in the organization, so they're not necessarily going to give their bank account or their credit card information to somebody that they don't know.
Correct.
So usually, monthly donors, they're not necessarily new donors. They've been giving to the organization for a while. So, and then, you know, and then they're like, oh yeah, I know that they're doing a good thing.
Right.
I know what they're doing. Hey, this is a great way to make sure that they get, you know, regular support from me. So, and I think as long as you, as the organization, can, you know, be on television or, you know, be in the mail or do the email and talk about, you know, your mission and show some of the results.
Right, right.
I think that's more important than necessarily that you have a big name. You know, you don't have to be the American Red Cross necessarily to be able to say, okay, well, we know what they do and we know that that's a great organization.
Right.
I mean, so.
Right. And what's your, to divert off, because you mentioned the Red Cross, and with our social media that we talked about a few chapters ago, what's your thoughts on that texting, like texting, text this number and you get $10 gift?
Yeah, it's interesting as, and again, you know, like in some countries other than the U.S., like texting has become much more common to go the next step. So in other words, like here, we might say text $10 now to support the victims from Sandy.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And you know, and then they could go on and say, would you like to support, you know, the Red Cross on a regular basis?
Right.
That part is not totally there yet. We're getting there, but there's still a little bit of like legalities and stuff like that that they're looking at. But in other countries, you can do that.
And so then that becomes your monthly giving.
That becomes your monthly giving.
See, that's wonderful.
Right.
That's wonderful. Because then all the billing is still just in one place, which is your phone bill, correct?
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
But we're not totally there yet. So, but again, there's a couple of organizations that are working actively on looking at that and seeing if we can convert those text givers to monthly donors.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
The one thing is, like, again, text giving is a lot of times it's very what they call like transactional.
Right.
It's a spur of the moment. Yes, okay, I hear it can help, $10, but they really don't necessarily want to help the organization ongoing.
Okay.
So
because I find that it's a great reminder that, oh yeah, that is an you know, I do want to support the Red Cross. So. And if then they could take it to that next level, that would be wonderful. I like that idea. And especially the young kids, they do nothing but anything on their phone. They don't even look at computers anymore. It's all on their phone. All right, so now to chapter 13, preparing management to look at monthly giving's long-term impact. And I'm assuming in management, and I read it, so I know it's true, you also mean boards with nonprofits. It's huge to educate your boards on the power of monthly giving, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like educating the board about fundraising in general is an interesting process because everybody has their own opinion. And we have great boards here on Cape and wonderful people who support many, many organizations. So it's really important to be a great board member. So supporting monthly giving is huge. It's just I think they need to, you know, sometimes boards and management are like, we want money now. And, you know, monthly giving is an investment in the long term, so you may not necessarily get a lot of results by the end of year one. But next year and the years after, I mean, once you have somebody converted to a monthly donor, they keep on giving.
That's right. Okay. That's right.
So, but they're like, well, no, I need a fundraising appeal to generate XYZ money right now because we have this need right now. And that's sometimes the hardest conversion is like, okay, well, we only have so much money to invest in our fundraising. What do we invest in? You know, like stuff that we know is going to work, and what are we going to invest in stuff that's really more for the long term?
Right.
And you need to, again, it all depends on where the organization is in terms of how many donors they already have, how much money they already raise. what their resources are, to kind of like come up and saying, well, this is the plan that fits for your organization.
Right. Now, do you find that the organizations on the Cape, that's what we'll talk about,
Yeah.
is that they earmark that money for something specific, or does that go into the general fund? Or
Yeah, normally monthly donations go to the general fund.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of like some use it as like the annual fund, basically, like supporting their
Right.
ongoing operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because it can be a little scary if people are trying to fundraise and don't know how much to ask and
Right.
and what to look for. So that's wonderful. That's really great. We are almost out of time, and I want you to do a little bit of a wrap up. The last page of the book it was one of my favorite pages, and it was your bio and talked a lot about you and all the good things you have done. So I want to thank you for everything wonderful you have done, and talk about who should buy this book and where they can get it. What should be the plan?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's really a fundraising book, so I would say anybody who is involved with dealing with annual fund, or our general director of developments, associate directors of development, or executive directors of organizations, I think should buy this book if they're interested. You can buy it on Amazon.com. It's going to be converted on an ebook very soon, in the next couple of weeks, so it will also be available for your Nooks and your Kindles and all that, so you can read it on the train or bus or wherever you're going. And and it's available on my website at adirectsolution.com.
That's great.
So,
and I want you to go to Cape Cod Community College and teach a college course on this, because this book was so well written.
Yeah.
You did a great job, and
Thank you.
step by step, and it should be a college course.
I'm actually working on making it into a workshop. Yeah, that's my
wonderful.
That's my next step.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
You're one step ahead of me
Yes.
always.
Yeah.
Good for you, Erica.
Great.
So great seeing you.
Thanks.
Come back anytime. We'll look
Welcome.
forward to the next book.
Thanks.
Great. I'm Linda Sandu. Get Monthly Giving, The Sleeping Giant. It's well worth your read for any nonprofit, big or small. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.